Okay, I have just turned streaming on because I know some people will be interested to follow along where other people are. We've just been talking about Kapai coming in to Marsden tomorrow morning. They have got 20 to 22 knots of southwest. They've got 188 miles to go to Bream Head. So just call and let people know. Customs, even in Opua, they don't really respond to the VHF. They do respond to telephone numbers if you know them, but just call Maritime Radio and they will deal with it. If you're up in Northland, maybe Northland Radio would handle that as well. But just give Maritime Radio a call to let them know that you are approaching. This is Patricia and David, Gold Harbour Radio, and we have an enormous amount of weather. The crystal ball got really cleaned up, and really good news, which David is going to talk about. We'll give him the microphone just after the hour so that everybody can copy him that comes on about that time, which is sort of now our semi-official time to start. Just let you know the weather here is still pretty rotten. 14 degrees. Yesterday we just got battered all afternoon. The wind is down a bit now. It's about 17 knots here, 17 from the southwest. Kapai reported 20 to 22 out there. 1011.1 on the bar. It's pulsing up to, down to, up to, that sort of thing. It's what David called pulsing. So that's where we are there. Just a few reports from those people who are at sea. Serenity of Swanwick, good morning, Philip. The wind has just died for them, 2421 south, 2421 and 17234 east. The wind is now south 4. They're expecting to be in Thursday or Friday next week. Maryland are ripping along. They are at 2436 and 17749. So they're doing pretty well in their boat. They've certainly, that boat knows where to go. I'm just trying to find their exact report here. Oh, here it is. They've crossed the date line. So they are doing and have southeast 12 to 15, 100% cloud cover there, ripping along at 8 knots. Good morning, Jeremy. Lupan, they're further south, 2618 and 17315 east. South, southeast 4 to 7. Swell is about 1.5 to 2 metres. Southerly swell, long period, so not too bad. 100% cloud cover there. Thanks for the report from North Minerva, Pakalaloa. 7 knots of south-southwest there, 7 south-southwest, 40% cloud cover. It's calm inside. There's quite a bit of weather that David's got for you people as far as getting down to New Zealand, so stand by for that on the hour. The Orion went past yesterday, got everybody's details, and I actually heard them go off yesterday. They at Whenuapai, so they passed by our house, so and they don't come up on my flight radar program. Most military planes don't, but they've got a very characteristic noise. Okay, Nuku'alofa, another mob there, all getting ready for a party tonight. I don't know why people go out on the night before a passage. Be careful what you eat. Okay, Taranui at Nuku'alofa, and good morning to everybody at Big Mama's in Nuku'alofa. Southeast 6, pretty flat, mostly clear there, the odd bit of thin cloud around. Good morning to you guys. Yes, we'll certainly be covering weather there. Quite a few boats going to Australia. So if you're copying us this morning, Mezzaluna, Bla Elinor, Giora, Morpheus of London, heading off to Bundy, and there was somebody else going somewhere different. They're at 2315 and 16144 at the moment, with 15 knots to 20 knots of east-southeast, mostly clear. 1017. I think David's got a bit of information there for you guys too as you approach land. All right. I don't think we've got anything coming through from anybody else at this stage. Just check the inbox. and that's about it. I wouldn't mind knowing where Kuhala was. I think they're going to be in our skip. It's actually Dean's birthday today, so if you can copy us, Dean, happy birthday on Local Talent. I always used to get a bit annoyed because I had the same problem with mine in a couple of days of being at sea. I always thought David chose our passage time to avoid having to take me out to dinner. But anyway, I'm sure Gail will look after you on your birthday. All right, I just wanted to make sure people know about the SOPAC net. Again, we talked yesterday. It's your net between all of you, quite useful because particularly for local talent who are running out of fuel, and wondered if there was anybody around them, particularly tomorrow when it's a little bit calmer, that could possibly transfer some fuel to them because they will probably need it. So if you are around local talent, where we don't know where local talent is at the moment, but if he comes up on the SOPAC net, if anyone is around, that might be a really helpful thing to do. SOPAC is on after us actually at 2000 2000 UTC, and also in the evening at 5:30 UTC, which happens to be 6:30 New Zealand time now. It's on 6209. Now, yesterday we talked about making sure you used maritime radio to do trip reports, and David commented maybe some people don't know how to do trip reports. If you are ham radio operators, you probably are familiar with that from the net, the Pacific Seafarers net. But a trip report is basically, well, particularly for maritime radio, they need to know where you are, what your course and speed is, because if anything does go wrong, then they can work out with the RCC, can work out where you are. So a trip report would basically be your latitude and longitude. Don't give decimal points, it just wastes time on the air, because the minute you finish the decimal point report, it's changed. Latitude and longitude, degrees and minutes, and course and speed. Now, if you're emailing this and you're copying us, we of course want to know the weather. So particularly the wind speed and direction, and the swell direction and height. So if you're CCing us on the email that you might send to Maritime at Cordia, that's we talked about that yesterday, then please just send it to us. All right, now before you do this, you need to tell them about your boat so that they know what you are. The boat name, of course, your call sign. Now, when you're talking to anybody, your call sign, your boat name, and your home port, they identify you uniquely. So before you even start, it's worthwhile just contacting them either by radio or email before you start. Make sure they know your boat name, because some of the boat names that you say on the radio are spelt quite differently. Your boat name, specifically your spelling, your call sign, and your home port. That's quite important. We, of course, like to know your boat type, because if we email you any information, then a 38-foot sloop is going to be quite different from the 60-foot catamaran. Your POB, that's the other thing I forgot to tell. Maritime Radio will ask you that, of course, how many persons on board. Boat name, call sign, home port, persons on board, and useful to give your boat type as well so that it can be identified, particularly when they arrive. The Orion yesterday would probably have taken pictures of you guys at Minerva Reef. I hope they put it on their, I think they've got a Facebook site. We're not on Facebook, but hopefully that will be done. Okay, Port Vila, we have a report from Eagles Wings, 6 knots southeast, 1012.5, and quite a bit of cloud around. And Imagine in Port Dinera, 1014.5. Good morning, you guys. Just a little bit to tell you about, there are more power blackouts in California. A raging wildfire has forced the evacuation of hundreds of people in Sonoma County. That's where I used to live, in Santa Rosa. I hope it's not going to do too much damage to the vineyards and things around Sonoma County. That's where they had the dreadful fire last time, so I hope they're not going to get hit again. But a lot more power blackouts in California. There are a lot of fires around. The fire at our Sky City Convention Centre in Auckland is still smouldering. And one of the downsides, they have dispersed 30 million litres of water. It's now all toxic, and a lot of it is down in the basement where all the staff had parked their cars. They are now half full, about 100 cars flooded with toxic water. The traffic in the city has been grim. They've shut off a lot of the streets still. People have been advised not to come to work today again. If they are in the central business district, they'll be absolutely delighted because it's our long weekend. Monday is a holiday. Pity the poor firemen, but anyway, Monday is a holiday, so a lot of people who have been encouraged to stay at home will, of course, be very happy to do that and have an extra weekend, some of which will probably be spent in traffic jams, which is the usual case from Auckland, whether you're going north or south. Okay, news in the weekend, of course, for those who are rugby lovers, the World Cup tomorrow, New Zealand versus England, and on Sunday, Wales versus South Africa. Both will be really, really good games, I would imagine. Okay, I'm going to do a pause to see if there is anybody wanting to make contact. Nothing heard, and I will ask my right-hand man up there in Vanuatu. Andrew, could you give a call for anybody we're not copying, please? Over.
Yeah, finish.
You're very quiet because I can't hear too well. 15 knots at Nananui-Whake, southeast. Viani, under the trough from Andiamo. Well, I'm not copying you, but I presume it sounded like Dean on Local Talent. Happy birthday, Dean. I need your latitude again. Over. I've got 2752, and from Andrew I got 16933. You've just come up, so that's good. I don't see that was made much sense to me. 27. Oh, yep, it does. You haven't made much progress. All right, 2752 and 16933. I've advised people that apart from your birthday today, you do have a fuel issue, and if you come up on SOPAC, there may be somebody, hopefully, that can handle that at the time. So what are your current conditions? Because Andrew faded away on me. Current wind speed and direction, please.
The wind is 6 knots, and we are looking
Okay, I'm not getting much of that, so we'll try you again after the weather, which I want to get started right now. There is weather that you will be listening to, and I sent you an email about half an hour ago, so you will have a bit of that information there. All right, I am going to pass the microphone now, folks, because we do have a lot of weather to go through. Conditions are not very good at our end, so I'm hoping that you will hear us at your end. Don't worry about asking for repeats. We're here to help. So at the end of it, if we can hear you, we'll certainly repeat. We try and speak slowly because I know some of you don't have English as a first language, and David speaks American anyway, but you'll be more than welcome to send in an email if you need clarification, and we will be sending out an email to the following C site if you are linked into that. So there is a lot to go through because you are all in so many different places. So here's David with the weather.
Yeah, I speak American. Trish speaks Kiwi. She's a native Wellaconian. And that's the secret of our marriage being so successful. I haven't the faintest idea what she's saying is the thing. All right, good morning. We have a lot to talk about. Now, okay, you know what's up first, of course. Yes, 500 millibar. And it is our Monday shortwave that we will talk about. Where is it projected to be now? Well, mid-Tasman and a very nice 500 ridge over the Oz Bight, the Australian Bight, and a nice little ridge very close to New Zealand. Now, if any of you have read any of my papers on passage making, may note that I had a rule of thumb for departure from the islands, not cast in stone, mind you, but just an idea, and that is a possible window is in place when we see a high over New Zealand and a high in the Australian Bight. So again, this is not something that is cast in stone, but I found over the years, we've experienced ourselves making dozens of these trips, and of course, forecasting them for about 8 years. That seems to be a pretty lucky combination. Well, Monday the 28th appears to fill the bill. We'll find a high pretty much over New Zealand and just to the north of New Zealand, but it's there, and one in the Oz Australian Bight. So for those of you that are ready to go, you may want to take a look at leaving around Monday, arriving the 6th of November or thereabouts. We'll give it a band, maybe 6 to 9. And that's pretty much what we said yesterday. It's worth a look anyhow. So that's your little crystal ball look for today. Again, arrival a few days after the 6th still looks okay. Now there is a period in all of this of headwinds, a little tacking, maybe a lot of tacking. It's good exercise. You've been laying around for 6 months. It's not going to hurt you. And there is a bit of a trough between the two highs, the departing high and the oncoming high. But that's the price you pay. The arrival of a high over New Zealand is a very, very nice way to come into New Zealand. Now, let's look at today at the moment. The front over New Zealand is moving north, and it should lie at, as we speak, at about 32 south. It runs west-east, goes from about 172 east to 175 west, roughly. Gale warnings are still up here for Colville. I thought that they would ease late yesterday, but they have not. The high sits in the upper mid-Tasman, and the center of that is near 30 and 165 east. 165 east. Now by lunch, this cold front should be right about 30 south. So those of you that are trudging along, heading toward New Zealand, have that to contend with. And tagging behind that are a couple of troughs, not much to them, but they're there. Now, by midnight, Monday the 28th, our high is going to be northwest of Cape Reinga, and quite mellow. It looks like about a 1022. Now, by Tuesday morning, the high is going to shift fairly rapidly to near 30 and 175 west, doing about 21 knots, so it scoots over. And the cold front that I've been advertising hits the North Island. Now, I had reckoned Tuesday 1 to 2 a.m. Originally, I thought it was late Monday. Then I changed it to about 1 to 2 a.m. Tuesday. But now it could be 7 a.m. on Tuesday. And that's a big thank you to the 500 shortwave that has slowed down just a wee bit. So the mere fact that it's done that, its vorticity center, meaning its pull, its updraft, is such that this frontal band is a little bit slower in coming. So that's good news for all of you that are 26, 28, 30 south. Now, for those approaching New Zealand and are near 30, expect mean winds southwest 15 to 20. But don't forget the front where the winds will be a bit higher. This is the frontal band that's going to be around 30 south. Now, by midday Saturday, as you're still trucking towards us, the winds look to be subtly quadrant in the 15 knot range, maybe a little bit less. In fact, probably a little bit less. On Sunday, as the front approaches, and if you are, say, at 33 south, you might see westerlies. And these winds are going to veer to the northwest late Sunday into Monday, and they're going to hang in there. They'll stay northwest right until the front arrives. And it does not look like a violent front from what I can see at the moment. You'll get your standard 30 knots. That's almost a given in these sort of fronts. And there'll be some higher gusts. They won't last very long. But it'll pass, and then southwest winds follow. Now, visibility is going to be poor, so take care of your navigation if you're coming into Opua. Most of you probably left from Opua, so you're familiar with the area. There's a lot of rocks around there, so make sure you are careful, that's all. Now, those on the way from Minerva that have left Minerva, if you're around 30 south, you should be looking at southwesterlies 20 to 25 today. Saturday at 32 south, southwest about 15 to 20. Terrible wind direction, very not good. Sunday, if you're at 34 south, you're very close. West to west northwest winds, that'll give you a little bit of a break, about 10 to 15 knots. And then by then, most of you should be in. Now, those still in Minerva, thinking of making the next window that I talked about, maybe looking at Monday the 28th. Monday the 28th looks like easterlies in the 15 knot range. But stay tuned a few minutes. We're going to talk about you and developments shortly, so stay tuned. Now, quickly, let's look at the trough in the tropics. The origin is the Hot Pool in the Solomons. The trough clips Vanuatu, then over Fiji, then Tonga, clips Niue, and it goes off to the Southern Cooks. And there's activity up in the tropics, but that is probably the one of note that you should be aware of, seeing as how most of you are in Tonga, Fiji, and Vanuatu. Now, the next window, as you all seem to have accepted my admonition that arrival weather is the most important of the triad, in other words, departure weather, midway weather, arrival weather. Now, I mentioned Monday the 28th to leave. Now, this date seems okay for all the main centers except Fiji. That trough just hangs in there for one thing. Now, that's going to create a bit of wind and some activity in the Fiji area. Now, in addition, one of our key models, and many of you have picked this up, ECMWF, our two most important models are EC and GFS. That one just does not let go of the idea of a low forming from a polar dip on or about Thursday the 31st over the Lao area, then Tonga-Tatu. Fortunately, it then sharply moves east, then it goes southeast and it goes out of the way. So you aren't going to be faced, I don't believe, of a depression bearing down on you. if you're in Minerva or if you leave from Fiji. Now, if nothing else, though, it's going to push against the oncoming ridge, as one or two of you have picked up, creating a bit of extra breeze and making for headwinds. It's going to warp the isobars. Now, I've done a lot of looking this morning. Now, here's a list of models that do not pick up the polar dip and the depression forming from it. GFS, our other primary model, CMC, the Canadian model, which I use, NavGem, that's the Navy, the U.S. Navy model. I looked at the Canadian ensemble. Now, you know what ensembles are. We covered that, so I'm not going to do that again. But they're very important because they look at averages of tweaking different initialization data. And even the ECNWF ensemble doesn't pick it up. So it may appear that this event may be an outlier. Only time is going to tell us. Now, unfortunately, also this morning, I'm picking up that the French are starting to look at this. A little bit of noise on this subject is coming from the French forecasters. And I don't like to hear that because I like to use the French a lot for the islands. Now, we certainly will have a very good idea on Monday morning. So we'll let you know what we see Monday morning. I'll be looking at it the weekend, even my bride's birthday there on Sunday. I'll definitely look at it for you. But spend quite a bit of time.
Dinner?
What's that?
I'm going to pick the dinner item.
No, it's not. I'm making a very nice dinner. Yep, at least I'm going to try. Anyhow, if it were chameleon, I think you all know by now, our rule is to take the worst possible outcome as probable. If it doesn't happen, all is good. Good as gold. So you folks that are primed for Monday, hang fire and wait for our analysis later. Have your party in Tongatapu, but we'll see what happens over the weekend, and you'll be the first to know on Monday. I'm sure you're looking extensively yourselves. And just to mention, leaving Fiji or Tonga a few days later probably is still going to be within our arrival window in New Zealand. So don't panic about this at all at this moment. There is an approaching depression after that window near the 9th, maybe 10th of November. That's a possible because we're so far out on hours. I wish I was a climatologist instead of a meteorologist because then I could tell you absolutely for sure what's going to happen because they seem to know all this stuff. Unfortunately, we don't have that luxury. So anyhow, we have a few days up our sleeve. There's going to be a lot of model runs between now and Monday morning. So let's see what happens. Now, I'm going to do a real quick look at the islands. This is nothing in real detail, but we'll start with Tonga, where our Solomon's Trough does affect the northern bits, but cloud does pretty much cover the entire kingdom. It's broken, scattered, but it's there. So expect cloudy periods, scattered showers at times. The wind southeast in the 15 knot range today. Tomorrow they pick up 15 to 20. On Monday, southeast 20. And on Tuesday, easterly 25. Now, don't forget the possibility of that depression that I talked about that may form over or near Tongatapu by Thursday. That's the 31st, quite a few days. If you leave on Monday, you're long away from it. But that's how it's looking for them now. Fiji, wet Fiji with its trough, affecting the north mostly. So for Vanua-Levu and surrounds, except heavy falls out of this and isolated thunderstorms as well. The rest of Fiji are going to see their share of clouds and scattered showers as well, particularly in the afternoon, typical tropics. Today, moderate to fresh winds, I'd say 15 to 20. Saturday, about the same. Sunday and Monday, we could see east-southeast, 20 to 25. Easing on Tuesday, and well, here we go. there is a chance of cyclonic flow over the northern Lao, losing my voice, over the northern Lao, and that moves very, very quickly to Tongatapu on Thursday. So that's possibly what's going to happen. Over to Vanuatu, imagery shows the trough center punching the group. Heaviest cloud from Aramango down to Amishu. Expect east-southeast winds 20 to 25. Pretty rough seas out there. Southeast tomorrow in the 20-knot range on Monday if you decide to leave. Southeast 15 to 20. And scattered cloud over Newcastle this morning. Winds in the lagoon east-southeast 15 to 18. Pretty good chance of scattered showers today. Tomorrow easterly is 18 to 20 and maybe more showers as well. And for Monday, east-southeast 12. That sounds pretty nice, doesn't it? This morning, the outer reef, east-southeast 15 to 21. That's the reporting. Noumea, swinging around, quite a bit of a swinging wind there. Northeast 7, and then I see an east 12, so it's all over. Ile de Pan, they report east-southeast 6 to 10. Now, hold on. Get something to drink here. I almost spilled the water. Okay, now there are people that are going from Newcal to Bundaberg, and I think you've got the winds down. The questions that we've been getting were, I've got one on Cape, that's pretty cool. I think, did we do a session on Cape? I don't know.
Yes, we did.
I think we did. But anyway, what they're really wondering about is there going to be a front or a trough when they get there on, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday. Well, by Tuesday, there will be a front south of Harvey Bay, and that's the front that's over New Zealand. That's how far it's extended. So that goes all the way over to south of Harvey Bay, maybe the Brisbane area. Then on Wednesday, I can't remember what the arrival date was. On Wednesday, that front is still going to be affecting possibly the Bundaberg area. There is signs of light showers, very, very light, not much at all, north of Harvey Bay, south of Harvey Bay. And that band, that front from New Zealand is going to swing east all the way to south of Noumea at that time. Now the winds, hang on 1 minute, I'm going to give this back to Trish, and then I'll come back on your winds.
What we should have is those phones that go around your head so that you can keep your hands available for changing the screens, but that means it would be difficult to swap the microphone from one to the other. So we have also thought of a foot system. We used to have that when I was at the Coast Guard. It was really, really handy to have a foot mic because you could, in fact, use both hands to put information in. All right, back to David.
All right, arrival on Tuesday, the 29th. Fairly light air I'm picking up. Don't forget the front because where you've got your cloud and rain, you're going to get gusty winds. But in the mean, if you've got breaks, it's not bad. It's anywhere from east to east-northeast. Those northeasters are feeding the top of that front. Only about 10 to 15 knots. Doesn't look like much at all. On Wednesday, the winds in the Harvey Bay area look to be easterlies, just north of Harvey Bay, almost nothing along the coast. I'm not getting any mesoscale weather from that. I'm still looking at the global models. If I were to get a little bit closer, I could give you more info, but it's nothing. I think you'll be motoring. If you go south of Harvey Bay, the winds are northerly. And if it takes you to Thursday, you still are going to contend with a little bit of convective activity. Winds still light, out of the east mostly for Harvey Bay, Bundaberg, 10 knots, possibly 15 knots. So nothing there at all. Now, I wanted to say something else. On On Wednesday, the 30th, we talked about EC's worries. I'm looking at GFS now, and what we have on Wednesday is a departing high and an oncoming high. The oncoming high is in the middle of the Tasman on Wednesday the 30th. It's about at 10:22, but its isobars extend out past the date line. Now, the departing high is going to be well out at about 155 west, south of French Polynesia, but its isobars extend west to about 175 west. So they meet. The isobars from the western high meet the eastern high right at about 175 west. Now, there's going to be a trough in there. No matter how you slice the pie, there's always going to be a trough in between two departing highs all the time. And think about it. You've got on the departing high, you've got northeast winds, moist, hot. You've got on the other side, southerly quadrant winds, cold, not as moist. They don't mix. They clash. Up they go. Rain, and there's a trough. So what you see, it looks like a polar dip, but it's not really a polar dip. A polar dip is really you find in the middle of a high, and the outer fringes of a high. You find the isobars dipping south and then north again. This is simply polar dipping isobars, all right, but not what we call a polar dip. But still, a trough is going to be there. So regardless of whether a low forms or not, up and down, I would say about 173 west, there will be a trough, north-south, from Tonga all the way down to God knows where. So I just wanted to mention that to you. Okay, so that's really all I've got. That's a lot of information, and we still have a pretty good chance. We have a very good arrival window, and that is a very important thing. And let's just hope that we can get you off without too much drama. So again, keep looking, and we'll keep you informed. We'll keep you informed for sure Monday morning. So from that, here's the chief.
And I'm just passing David an email from Havili. We were quite excited last night. Sam picked up exactly the perfect conditions for passage making. So we really sometimes we get a bit downhearted here because we never hear from anybody and we think, oh, what a waste of time teaching people about weather. But then every now and again we get an email that shows that people really are looking, and that was quite exciting. Okay, I've just had a couple of reports in Kuperi. Well, I actually looked at it and found them. It doesn't come through on the weather, but it's hidden in the email. They are very close. They're at 33.52 with 18 knots of southwest, and that ties in with Kapai. They're not too far away from Kapai, but further ahead. They've got a 3-metre swell. But obviously dealing with it. Not a very pleasant arrival, but at least an arrival. Shandon, they are approaching the pass to southwest Viti Levu to get to Nandi. It's pretty sporty out there. East-southeast 22 to 25 knots with confused seas, about 1 metre, but pretty confused. 95% cloud, all sorts of different clouds with rain and showers and stuff like that. So I guess they'll be pretty happy to get in as well. All right, so Midnight Sun have advised, and this is for, and I'm sure Kuperi and Kapai are not going to hear me, but it is going to be a zoo in Opua over the weekend. This is our New Zealand's Labour weekend. Monday is a holiday, and there is a race. It's sort of the start of the season, really. It's called the Coastal Classic. Coastal Classic goes from Auckland to Opua. I would say with these winds, it's going to be a rip snorter of a race. About 100 yachts take part in this race, and they will be arriving late Saturday through into Sunday. So you'll want to keep your eyes open. They will have a pretty rough time. They are racers. They're absolutely nuts, some of them. So they will be going hell bent for leather to get head of their class into Opua. So people, watch out for those folk. Okay, and good morning to those of you who have said greetings on the streaming. There was a very interesting email come through, and David wants to comment on this. This is the one I was talking about. It's just come through this morning. So let's go back to what Havili's looked at on GFS.
Okay, this is probably an interesting thing. Havili sent me a screenshot of GFS, and it shows on or about the arrival date, we're talking about actually a few days before that, it shows GFS with a depression that's centered around 30 south and just east of the date line, roughly, a 997 depression. Now, this model run that he sent me was 00 Zulu. Now, a number of runs have taken place since then. So that would have been the October 24 run 00. Now, hang on. Now, I am looking at the 12 zone. So we've had 2 runs since that one. So the run that I'm looking at now, which is the most recent run, it's not there. So you can see that unless you're getting the current data, these models are changing their minds so rapidly. I make a joke about climatologists all the time, but I really don't see how they can do what they say they do, because I struggle just getting 3 days out of the model. Now, that's the important thing. You've got, and when you're talking to your mates, and they're saying, hey, I see this, and you say, I see that, make sure you've got the same model run, because otherwise you'll be going back and forth and wasting each other's time. So anyway, that's my response to Sam. And I think he even mentions that he looked at a more recent one and it's different. So good for him. I think he did that. So that's what you have to do too. You've got to get the most recent runs, preferably 00 and 12 Zulu. Now, I know Predict Wind doesn't, a lot of you use it, and they don't give 06 and 18, which is just as well. But anyhow, try to get the latest that you can, and you go from there. So here's the chief.
I've just had an interesting note on streaming from Diego on Messatroy. 29 yachts within 250 miles of Cape Reinga this morning. 29, and of course that only is the ones with AIS. So that's a lot of activity is going to be up there. Fortunately, they'll get in before the Coastal Classic boats. Okay, this is Gulf Harbour Radio. It is Friday, so we are not on in the morning. We will send a summary email out if he gets onto it today to the following seaside. He's grimacing here, but I'm sure I'll get him to do that. Is there anybody with any questions or follow-up needed? Please call now. Kohela, still got you. Go ahead. Well, I didn't get anything of that, and I've got your email has just came in while David was talking. So we've corrected the position to 2-9er, 16 and 170 almost. Waiting for the southwest to come in later today because he's got south-southeast. When will that come in? Can you have a look at that one? David will have a look at what's going on. He'll need to get to the probably the Met Office reports to
30 and 1.
He is at 29, 16 and 170 east. 170 east. The wind is currently 5 to 6 knots south-southeast, and he is waiting for the southwest wind. He just hearing us, and I'm afraid I got your boat name, Josh, but couldn't quite hear what you were asking.
I say south-southwest
Hang on.
Well, this is just a model talking, but it looks like south-southwest between 10 o'clock and lunchtime, from what I could see here. That's at 30 south. Now, don't forget the front. I'm not sure if it's gone through you yet. Maybe you can tell us if it has or not with a Roger, Roger, or negative.
Oh, got that.
Got that. Okay.
Negative.
I'm looking at my satellite picture right now. Hang on.
Speak up.
And yeah, it may have gone through you. Did you have any activity earlier or early in the morning? Over? Yeah, okay. I am seeing a band that's about 31 south. It's almost reaching 30. If you look to your south, you should see a bank of cloud. Over?
He's looking. No, can't get that.
Well, we didn't get that. Lost in the murk. There is a band. That is a front. There's not much in it. The clouds are not cold, so maybe a squall or two, not much. So anyhow, good luck with that, and I think you'll do fine. Just keep plugging along, doing your tacking or whatever, and once the winds get around a little bit to the northwest in a day or so, you'll be home. You'll be home before the front, before the next front.
Yes, he's sort of on the cusp there of going in and out of propagation. All right, is there anybody else with anything? There was a couple there. I think, well, actually, I've heard local talent. I'm not sure who it was that. Local talent. Go ahead, Dean. Okay, you got the email. That's good. Excellent. All right. Well, you have a good, fun birthday. There was somebody in behind local talent. Oh, I think I might just be able to work out what you're saying. So I haven't got the boat name, but go ahead. Over. Okay, email address. Got that, certainly. And I should tell that to people each day. GH Radio, all run together, short for Gulf Harbour Radio, of course. It's just GH Radio at extra, which is XTRA, no E, extra.co.nz. That's the email address, pretty similar to the website, which is www.ghradio.co.nz. All right, no problems there, and we will try and get something out at the moment. Couple of thank yous for the polar dip lesson. Wow, there you go. That got a smile on his face. All right, folks, is there anything else? Nothing heard? Any relays? Boy, I can't hardly hear you today, Andrew. It's hopefully we are coming through all right. Eye candy, Gulf Harbour.
Yeah, that's
Okay, I think you said repeat the email. G for golf, R for radio, golf, sorry, oh God, got me confused. G for golf, H for harbour, radio. So GH Radio at extra. And this is the important part. It's XTRA. Extra Tango Romeo Alpha XTRA .co Charlie Oscar .nz New Zealand. Okay, GH Radio at extra.co.nz. I think that's what people were asking. It's getting quite noisy here on the radio here. All right, folks, and if you need further clarification, don't forget in about 20 minutes you have got the SOPAC net. People might be able to explain more on that on 6209. And we'll try and get the email out before then. That's a challenge. All right, so I think we'll leave it there because we're really struggling to hear you folk now, which is why we get this thing started a little bit earlier. Because what with the wind blowing at the confounded dipole area, which I hear you on, it makes life a little bit difficult here. Hang on a minute, David has something.
Would it make more sense if I did it later today to the SOPAC, to the following suit, the models have gone around?
David has just said he might wait. I thought he wanted to get it over and done with, but he has actually volunteered, instead of sending out a weather email now, what he will do is send it out later today prior to the SOPAC net, so that anyone who is not on the email list, we can maybe get people to talk about it later. So he will send it out later this afternoon. I will send it to the following C. I will send it to the various folk who we have emails for, our very kind supporters. And we will do that later this afternoon when there has been another model run or two. So that's what we'll do instead of doing it now. Okay. Thank you, David. That was very nice of you. Usually he goes yippee at the end of the net on a Friday morning and says no more to do today. But there is such a lot happening, and I know a lot of you are trying to get here. God knows why in this one. But anyway, I'm sure it will come right. And we will send that out later today. All right. Cheers, everybody. Have a good day, and we will be back to talk to you on Monday morning. Have a good weekend. Mushroom Cove is cleared up.
Roger, Andrew. No problem. I'll send her an email so we can thank you and extra help on later. What's the time today?
Wow, you're coming in really well now, Dean. Over.
Oh, okay. Position. How you hear me? I was asking you to resend the email that you sent to me.
So that's interesting. I hit stop streaming. Yeah, Ranganui, good morning. Go ahead.
Just wanted to say thanks for the information.
Oh, you just faded away on me. Maybe the batteries are down a bit. You started off quite strong. Yeah, you probably know that Al got in touch with us to find out where you were. Where are you at the moment? Over.
We are about 30 nautical miles north. 2856398.
Okay, 70 miles to the west of Norfolk at 2856 south, 16639 east. And your conditions? Okay, so you're motoring. Hopefully you'll have, well, your boat I think has a pretty good supply of diesel, so pretty flat, calm.
Weak frontal band at 30.
There is a weak, you probably heard, a weak frontal band at 30.
The edge of it.
You'll be getting the edge of it soon. Over. Yep, there's always hope. Yeah, you would have heard me just talking to local talent. So you're pretty much on the same whereabouts are they? Anyway, Yeah, I'm just looking at where Norfolk is under the cloud band there.
Right there.
Oh, yep. Actually, you haven't got it too bad. So,
No.
hang on. I've got to change the microphone over.
No, in Norfolk, it's looking pretty good. I'm looking at the most current satellite image. You've got looks like a lot of speckled high cloud cirrus maybe, but the edge of the cold front, weak cold front, is just brushing 30 south at the moment and moving towards Norfolk. So I would suspect you'll have it. I don't know when it's moving, probably about 20 knots north. So maybe later today. Over.
Oh, okay. You'll be in touch on the VHF with the birthday boy there. All right. Oh, well, keep trucking, you guys. If you were back here, you would probably be having to work with all this chaos going on in Auckland, over. No. Oh, well, it should be cleaned up by the time you get there. All right. Cheers to you both. We are clear.